to talk about tonight is staying motivated when things aren't going the way you thought they would. This happens to everybody. I don't care who you are, how big a online marketing success you are. There are points in your online career where you have just little dry spells of motivation, and maybe things don't go right, and it just kind of discourages you, and you kind of have to get yourself back into and motivated and get your momentum going back again. Like I said, this happens to everybody. I go through these spells, and lots of people that email me are going through spells like this. And some people, they're short-lived, and some of them, they last a long while. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight: is how you can stay motivated when things aren't going the way you thought they would. And again, like I said, this happens to everybody that I know of. There's not a single person that this has not happened to them that at some point in time, they lost their motivation or lost their momentum and need to somehow kickstart things again to get things going the way they want them to. So, first off, let's talk about some of the common things that break motivation and momentum. And this is not an exclusive list, but these are the topics we're going to talk about tonight and some of the things you can do about them. But again, there's lots of things that can cause this, but these are the most common ones and the ones I hear the most from my subscribers that email me and people that I talk to on Skype and in some of the forums and such. One of the biggest things is negativity from your family, friends, and coworkers. If you've been doing any kind of online marketing for a while or you've just gotten started, a lot of times you will get a lot of negativity from your family and friends because they feel like that you're just wasting your time, that you're never going to make anything of it, and you could be doing things that are more productive, more successful in other areas offline or whatever it might be. So that's one of the biggest things right there is the negativity that you face when you're starting out, or you're not seeing results. If you've been doing things for a while and still not seeing results, you see a lot of negativity about what you're doing. The next thing that is really a momentum breaker is technical problems or hurdles that we face. Everybody, especially when they're first starting out, they run into technical problems that just cause a stumbling block and cause you to stop working on things, and more or less just kills your production, and it really just kind of demotivates you into you think, well, I'm never going to be able to do this because I just can't deal with these technical things, and there's problems that I run into. I don't know how to use this software. I don't know enough about websites. I don't know anything about graphics, whatever it might be. When you're first starting out, everybody runs into these, and it just comes to a point where you just have to realize what your technical limitations are and how you can deal with them. Lack of funds is another big showstopper for most folks, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have much money to invest into your online business, and you're trying to do as much of it as you can yourself and trying to generate, free traffic, which is the hardest to get because you have to invest a lot of your time into getting free traffic. And then, lack of funds into buying, some of the tools that you might need that might make things easier. I mean, it's really hard if you don't have the proper tools, that you have to do a lot of extra work. You may have to do, a lot of extra steps to get something to work the way you want it to because you don't have the funds to buy the tools that would make it go smoother and more automated and efficient for you. Lack of positive results or sales is another killer that a lot of people face. They may have done a few things, tried promoting a few things, and not seeing any kind of positive results or any kind of sales or leads or list subscribers, whatever it might be. That can be a good motivation killer and break your momentum if you're not seeing those kind of results. And we see a lot of this really when there's two things going on. One is you're not using the right kind of traffic for whatever it is that you're wanting to promote online. And two, if you're trying to do things, with as cheap as possible and possibly just, with free methods, you see a lot of this where, it just takes so much longer to get any kind of results that this is one of the things that discourages a lot of people, and really it's probably out of the 97, 98% that you hear of people that fail, this is probably the biggest thing that gets them is, they've tried something that didn't work, so they don't have much faith in what they're doing, that the next thing is going to work either, so they go into it, you know, not with a positive attitude and, willing to give it, a good working shot towards making a success with it. So this one ties back into number three, lack of funds, a lot in that, people when they're first starting out, if they don't have money to invest in their business, they're having to do most of the work themselves and trying to generate as much free traffic. And like I said, that's one of the hardest roads to go is when you're going that route is trying to do everything yourself because you don't have the funds to invest in tools and traffic. Another thing is having too many unfinished projects. A lot of people will start a project thinking that it's going to be the whiz bang best solution for them. They run into some hurdle that makes them stop, and then they leave it unfinished, and then the next thing you know, they've forgotten about that when they started another one, and they reach at some point in time the same thing, and next thing you know, they've got 5, 10 things stacked up that are completely unfinished that they really need to go back if they want to give them, the full optimum opportunity to work and finish up those projects. You can have so many unfinished projects that it can actually break your momentum in that you see so many things that you need to do and you really don't know where to go next, where to start next to finish some of them. And then no sense of direction on where to go next. This happens a lot when you're first starting out. You know that people are having success, making money with doing a certain thing, and you'd like to do the same thing yourself. So you've bought some little quick training on it, some $7, $27, $37 training on something, but it's not complete, doesn't tell you every step of the process that you need to do. So you reach a point where you lack a sense of direction of where to go next with what you're wanting to achieve. And this is one of the most common things that I run across is people feel like that, they bought some entry level product and it should be everything that they need to succeed. When most of the time, when you buy an entry level product, it's just the first beginnings or just a part of the process for a business model or a method. Very rarely will you ever see a product that's low entry that is complete and has everything that you need in it. It's extremely rare for that to happen because there's always going to be some other parts that you need to have beforehand or afterwards when you start working the product or method, whatever it might be. So having a sense of direction on where to go next after you've bought a product, and a lot of times products, the front end products that are sold real cheap to us, are designed this way on purpose to try to get us to purchase additional trainings and additional software, additional tools, or whatever it might be to complete the process that we're learning about in that front end product. So a lot of times it's designed that way on purpose for that to happen. But this is one of the things that we face a lot is we want to do something, but we know we've got a general idea of how it should work, but then once we start with it, we really don't know where to go from there, especially if we run into one of the hurdles that stops us, one of the technical hurdles, or we run into something that requires funds, or you don't know what to do about getting the right kind of traffic and that kind of thing. This is one of the things that you run into a lot, especially when you're first starting out and you're buying front end products that they're low price to get you into somebody's sales funnel, and they show you a little bit about a business model or method, but they don't show you the complete process. So, how do we regain a positive motivation and momentum? Well, let's start with the last one, the no sense of direction of where to go next. What you want to do when you're first starting out with a new process or plan or business model, whatever it might be, you want to go into it with a good positive frame set and ready to work on it when you first start with it. Now, what I mean by this is, set aside, a good time when you're going to start working on this, when you're actually ready to devote your full attention to it, and that you're open-minded enough to take in what you're learning and be able to start with it. A great example of this is like when I first get up in the morning, I have a daily ritual that I have to go through before I can do anything. I get up usually around 6 o'clock every morning, somewhere, sometimes a little after 6 or so. And it's usually going on 7:15, 7:30 before I'm ready to do anything. I have to get into the right frame of mind, get things settled in with my daily routine when I do first before I can start on anything. If I were to jump right into something right as soon as I got out of bed, there would be things that I would skip over, things that I wouldn't fully retain, things that I would not remember to do or wouldn't do them right. So, one of the best things you can do is get prepared, be well rested and ready to start on whatever it is you're going to work on when you first start out in it on your daily work. The next biggest thing that you can do is make some sort of a daily plan or a mind map of what you want to achieve that day. Now, I've talked about this several times of actually writing out physical lists of what you want to achieve. This has been one of the biggest things that's helped me, even though we have so much electronical devices and programs now that can do this for us. In my mind, it works better if I write it down. There's just something about that physical act of writing it down and then seeing it on a pad of paper that just jumpstarts my day and shows me what I need to be working on, as opposed to typing it into some sort of a text document or Word document or even one of the daily planners that you have online now. There's just something about that physical act of writing it down that will actually embed it into your brain that that's what you should be working on. The next best thing you can do to get a sense of direction is to have some sort of a daily or weekly goal to achieve. Now, this falls hand in hand with the previous bullet point of having some sort of a daily plan or a mind map. If you have some sort of a daily or weekly goal that you want to achieve, it gives you an idea of what you're wanting to get done for either that day. And it's also really good to have both a daily and a weekly goal. It may be unattainable sometimes to meet a weekly goal, but at least if you have it written down, you can work towards it and get a few of the steps done to get towards that weekly goal. When I start a new project, that's the first thing I do is list out the various steps of what needs to be done, and then I estimate some sort of a time frame of when I would like to have it done. Now, sometimes these steps can be involved, and it can take a whole week to complete one part of the process, one step of the plan to complete something. But by having some sort of a goal to work towards, that's another positive motivation in that once you see that you've achieved that goal, it gives you the motivation and the momentum to continue on with the next step. Making a list and take things in small steps, and I just talked about that just briefly just a minute ago. Break things down into a list of things that need to be completed and take them in small steps. Try to achieve the small steps as you go along so that you can check those off and know that they are completed. Again, this goes back to like I said, I feel like it works best for me to actually physically write these things down. I have these yellow legal pads just full of things that I've worked on over the years that I continue to write in on a daily and weekly basis on things that I'm working on. And also serves to go back to look at that and see if there's anything that maybe I missed over. Maybe I had to stop a project because I had to wait on something else to be completed. Maybe I was having some part of it outsourced and I had to stop that project until that was finished. Well, I can go back later after I've gotten that back and see if there's anything else that I missed in that process by looking at these list of steps that I needed to complete. And then also you just want to realize what your limitations are. You don't want to put too many things on your daily or your weekly schedule that you know is just going to be unrealistic that you can't complete. You want to try to be realistic in what you actually can get done in the amount of time that you have to work with. There may be things that are going to be long and complex that are going to take a while. That it may take you, a week or 2 weeks to actually complete, but you don't want to try to force yourself to try to get it done in a week and lose your motivation to do it because you've run into something that's taking you longer and it's at the end of the week you still haven't completed it when in reality it was going to take 2 weeks to finish to start with. So realize what your limitations are and how much you can actually get done in a day, and what your daily plan is, the time allotted you have to work on things, and make that a realistic goal to set of what you can actually get done in a day and in a week's time. Or it says every Sunday I make a week's goal, then every day I set my plan to meet those goals. That's a really good thing to do, and a lot of people do that. They'll either work on them on Sundays or Mondays, working out a weekly plan. That is a really good thing to do, to have a weekly goal that you're going to work towards, even if you know you might not be able to complete it, but you at least have a goal to try to get it done. There's always going to be things that can come up that would maybe stop us from being able to do it. Maybe you didn't have all the time you thought you were going to have to work on it or whatever, or maybe you ran into something that you just really didn't understand or couldn't complete yourself. But having that weekly goal like that, Roy, is a great thing to do. That if you can achieve those, it's a really good motivator for the upcoming weeks to see that you actually achieved what you wanted to do the previous week. So that's a really good thing to do. And like I said, a lot of people do that on Sundays and Mondays is the typical times when most people set weekly goals. Okay, so let's talk about having too many unfinished projects. Like I said, this is one of the things that can snowball on us and really cause us to become unmotivated and cause us to lose our momentum, because we see so many things that we wanted to get done, so many projects that we were starting that for some reason or another fell through, and we had to stop them, and then we started another one, and the next thing you know, like I said, you have 5 or 10 of them like this that you've not completed. One of the first things you should do is list out all of your projects. Just make just a simple list of the projects you want to work on that you were hoping to complete. Just having a basic simple list of these projects so that you can see which ones that you actually started on, that you've been working on, so you got some idea later when you have more free time of ones that you need to go back and see if you can work on them and get some more completion to them. The next thing you want to do is you want to try to assign some priorities to these projects that you have. It may be that you see with this list of projects you have that some of them could tie in to other projects, that if you completed one, that the next project would be easier to complete because you've already completed a previous project that works hand in hand with the next project. And to give you a great example of this, it may be that you want to build out a complete sales funnel. You want to build out a new sales funnel. So to have a sales funnel, you need to have an entry point, which is either your lead page or your opt-in page, or a front end, low front end product. And then you want to have your upsells, your autoresponders, and anything else that you're wanting to try to include into the funnel. So you may want to list those out as individual projects, each part of that funnel, and it become one major project that once you've completed each one of the individual projects, you have a completed major project that you've assigned a priority to it, that the sales funnel is priority, but you have to get the certain pieces of it completed first. So if you assign priorities to them, you can look at the projects that you've been working on and see that some of them may go hand in hand with completing some of the other projects that you have. It may be that you're wanting to create 2 or 3 different products in the niche that you're working in, and once you see those listed out, you realize that you could turn those into a complete sales funnel if you had them organized properly. One of the best things to do when you have lots of unfinished projects is find a fast and easy one to do, and do one of those in between some of the larger projects that you have on your list. In other words, when you're looking at your list, look at some of the ones that you know would be quick and easy to do, or easier than some of the others, and try to complete one of those first. And then while you're working on one of the larger projects, go back and do one of the smaller ones, just to give you that motivation and the momentum to keep working on the larger projects. It's a really great motivator when you see that you have completed something, something's ready for you to bring out into the world, into your sales funnel, out to your list, whatever it might be. When you see something that you've actually completed, that you can start trying to see some results from it. If you always work on the big projects and trying to complete them because you know they're going to take up the most time, it could be that you leave some of the little smaller things that you could be seeing little small successes with, that could give you the motivation and momentum to complete some of the bigger projects. Because, like I said, once you start seeing some positive results from these things, that gives you huge motivation to work on some of these larger ones. One of the things, and I think I spelled this wrong. Yeah, I know I did. Next thing you do is assign some sort of a monetary value to these projects that you have. You may see some that you know are going to make more income than others, and ones that are going to make quick income as opposed to others that may take a little while to get the full income stream coming from them. So if you assign some sort of a, even if it's not totally accurate, to some sort of a monetary value to these projects, that also can serve as a motivation in that you can see, some that you can complete easy that are going to bring in, a little bit of income fast that will help you to maybe fund some of the bigger projects that you're working on. All right, so let's talk about the lack of funds and the positive results or sales. And like I said, this is one of the things that kills a lot of people in that they had an idea for something that they thought was going to work well, and that they started working on it and they're not seeing the results from it, or they're not seeing any sales, or they're having problems completing the project because they have a lack of funds in that, they can't afford the proper tools, or they can't afford paid traffic, and they're having to do most everything themselves. They can't afford outsourcers, whatever it might be. So the first thing you want to do if you're using free traffic, analyze your efforts versus your return on investment. Even when you're using free traffic as your primary source of traffic, you still have an investment of your time into generating that free traffic. You want to see if the amount of time that you're putting into that, getting that free traffic, is actually paying off and being worth it. If you have to continually work to gain that free traffic, it may be that it's not worth all the effort that you're putting into it. If it's free traffic that you can work on and it builds a momentum to where it continues to increase as you invest more time into it, then it may be something that is worth continuing on with. But if it's something that you have to constantly stay with it to keep it going, well, then it may not be bringing in the return on investment for your time that you think it is. Anything that you have to constantly stay with it and keep it going like that to get the results from it, you have to really weigh out the amount of time that you're putting into it. Was it worth all the effort, as opposed to, getting some results and then, handing it off to some sort of a paid source of traffic, as opposed to, always trying to generate the free traffic. A lot of times people will depend on trying to get something ranked in the search engines and hoping that that will bring them most of their traffic. And the thing about it is, with trying to generate most of your traffic from search engines are constantly changing their algorithms and their indexing. For you, it's pretty much a full-time thing, just staying up with that and generating that free traffic if that's what you're working towards. So again, like I said, you really need to analyze the amount of time you're investing in this free traffic. Is it worth the amount of time that you're putting in, as opposed to paying somebody to send you traffic that's already targeted? There's nothing wrong with using free traffic. It's just that you need to realize, is it really worth all this effort that you're putting into it? Is it really getting you anything back out of it, as opposed to the amount of time that you're putting into it? The next thing you can do is create quick and easy products that you can sell real cheap. Now, I've talked about these before in some of the previous webinars that we did. One of the great examples is cheat sheets. Cheat sheets sell real easy. They're real easy to create. You can sell them at a low entry point, and people will buy them if it's on a topic that they're interested in. And generally, anything related to social networking, traffic of any kind, CPA, um, image creation, blogging, anything like that, any kind of cheat sheet that you can create on that, and you sell it at a low entry point, you can get, a lot of sales really quick, and, and bring yourself in some income that you can use towards getting, some paid traffic, or getting some of these tools that you needed to, make things go faster with the projects that you're working on. Like I said, I've talked about these before, creating quick little products that, that take less than a day to complete. Another great one is just taking a simple step-by-step method in whatever niche you're working in, creating, a little 2 to 5 video set of completing one step process in whatever niche you're working in. That's something else that you can do in less than a day that will sell really well for, anywhere from $2 to $7, and it'll sell really quick because, if it's a topic that people are interested in, they will buy it just to see the method. And maybe if they're just starting out, that's something they need to learn as well. Now, we talked about this about 2 weeks ago about creating unique bonuses for affiliate marketing. If you're wanting to do affiliate marketing, the thing that's working right now is to offer bonuses. People are looking for bonuses when they're thinking about buying one of the products that are on launch. They're looking for people that are offering, bonuses that they can use. And a lot of times they're looking for the bonuses more than they are the product that the bonuses is being offered for. So by having your own unique bonuses, that gives you, a little bit of an upper edge against other affiliate marketers that are just using the supplied bonuses that the vendors give them. And we talked about this, like I said, 2 weeks ago in the white label training, that just about every WordPress plugin that you see can be rebranded and turned into a brand new plugin just by, just doing a few simple things, especially with the links that I gave you for rebranding plugins that we let you create, totally unique bonuses. Doing this, you can generate a lot more affiliate sales, and it doesn't take much of a list to offer, unique bonuses. And some people will actually buy a product twice just to get the bonuses. I've done that myself. I've bought a product from one person just to get their bonuses, and then turned right around and bought the same product again from another person just to get their bonuses. Now, that's in the case, you're really after the bonuses, you're not really after the front end product. But that happens a lot, that if you have unique bonuses that nobody else has, that people are going to pay attention to what you have. And these are really great motivators, is to, to be able to generate, quick sales like that, even if, you're not making that much from the affiliate commission, but having them come in a rapid succession on a product launch, can really be a great motivator in towards working towards some of your other projects that you're working on by having some capital to work with. Another good rule of thumb is, once you started doing a few of these things and generating a little bit of income, instead of going out and buying other products or programs or whatever it might be, or tools, or taking it with your PayPal debit card and spending it at Walmart or McDonald's or wherever you spend your money from PayPal, invest 50 to 75% of that back into paid traffic, so you don't have to spend so much of your time generating free traffic. Paid traffic is always going to outperform free traffic in that it's quick, it's instant, you can see instant results from it, and whether the product that you're promoting is worth promoting, but you're going to see instant results from it. And all it takes, like I said, is just a little bit of money to invest into paid traffic to get that kind of results, that whether you have a product that's really worth promoting. And this works the same thing with affiliate marketing. Once you start seeing that you're getting some income in from your unique bonuses that you're offering with affiliate marketing, invest into some paid traffic for affiliate marketing. There's nothing that says you can't do pay-per-click or banners or whatever for a product launch. In fact, it's really a good thing to do that, is to look at some of the launch boards and see products that are getting ready to be launched. And if you have a little bit of money to work with towards paid traffic, create some unique bonuses and have some paid traffic going on the day of launch, so that you can get an instant return on investment for the amount of money that you put into the paid traffic. Again, if you're offering unique bonuses and you're investing in paid traffic, you're going to see instant results from it, so you'll know automatically whether the traffic that you're sending is good quality traffic or not. And again, one of the things you can do when you're wanting to see some results and sales is, don't overlook posting your offers over in the multitude of Facebook launch groups there are. There's probably close to 300 of them now. You can never post in every single one of them. If you tried, your product launch would be way over before you ever got it all completed. But there are a few major ones, and you'll see notices when you log into Facebook up in the little notification thing. If you belong to any of those launch groups, you'll see people using some of those on a regular, consistent basis, and those are the same ones that you should be using. Now, some of them may have, particular rules to follow. It maybe has to be a JVZoo marketplace product, or it may have to be a totally unique product. Whatever their rules might be, you want to pay attention to those. But you'll notice when you log into Facebook, you'll see those notices and you'll see the same groups over and over and over again from people going to those same groups posting their offers of products that they're launching. And it doesn't mean that you're creating a complete tricked out launch. It's just putting a notice out there that you have something for sale. This goes back into some of the free traffic. It doesn't take long to create, a little image that has your info on it and a link back to your affiliate link over on the product that you're selling. It doesn't take long to do that, and it takes just a few seconds to post it in each one of those groups. But that can get you just a few more sales and maybe hopefully get you some good affiliates. You never can tell. You might run across somebody that they know a product's going to click with their list and they send it out, and they start making a lot of sales for you. They may not ever promote any of your other products again, but they promoted that one product and you got a lot of sales and you added a lot of people to your list. That happened with one of my products a year and a half, 2 years ago. Tony Shepard picked up on one of my products that he liked and he promoted it to his list for like 3 or 4 days in a row. It was a product he thought would click good of his list, and it did. He made 600 or 700 sales of it to his list, so he generated a good sizable affiliate income commission from it. And I made several people on my buyers list from his promotions. Now he's not promoted. I think he's maybe promoted one or two since then, but he's not done any like he did that one. And you just never know when that's going to happen. And all it took was I took and posted a link and an image over in one of the Facebook groups is where he's seen that. So, you never can tell just from that little bit of effort, that 5-10 seconds it takes to make that post, where you might catch the attention of an affiliate or even somebody's just interested in purchasing the product. You have a lot of people that go to those launch groups that are just looking at products that are coming out. So, you might can't make sales just from retail and back end customers are just wanting to look for new products that are coming out. Okay, so let's talk about the technical problems or hurdles. And this is when you're first starting out and you're trying to figure out how much of your business you can actually run yourself. A lot of people run into the technical problems and hurdles, and this is one of the things that stops their motivation and their momentum because they get stuck on part of the process and they don't really know where to go from there, so they just stop working on it altogether, maybe even drop their whole business model and want to try a totally different business model thinking another one might be easier. The first thing you want to realize is you don't want to try to learn everything. If you try to learn to do everything before you start working on your projects and your promotions, you will get stuck into a consistent learning mode and never taking action because you always find something else that you need to learn before you get started. And next thing you know, you're just in a constant learning mode and never really taking any action. You want to try to get started, and once you run into these technical hurdles, find the best way possible to solve them, even though it may be something you've run across that you can't complete yourself. You don't want to try to learn everything unless it's something that you definitely do want to learn. I mean, I've reached a limitation in what I can do with graphics. I got a certain skill set I can go with graphics. I'd like to learn more, but I just don't have the time to invest into becoming a graphics artist. So I realize, there's a certain limitations with graphics that I just have to stop at and hand it off to someone else. As much as I'd love to learn everything there is about being a graphic artist, it's just not possible for me to be productive in learning that. One of the best things that's come along for us in internet marketing and online marketing is Fiverr. There is very, very little that you can't get done over on Fiverr these days. And there has been tons and tons of Fiverr clone sites that have sprung up from this idea. And there's other sites that you can go to that, maybe cost a little more than Fiverr does, but they do a little bit more of the, the technical work or the expertise work. and getting something done. But there is very, very little that you can't get done on Fiverr these days. And now with Fiverr allowing their vendors over there to have upsells, there's very little that you can't get done for, $10 to $20 at the most. A great example of this is when I want to get a video voiceover done. There's a guy I go to over on Fiverr that will do 200 words for $5, and he's really professional. He's got everything set up to do it, and it sounds really nice. If I want to get him to do a complete video sales letter, all I got to do is just pay him the upsells. I think for like $20, I can get him to do a whole video sales letter. Whereas, that's something that I could never do. I could never create a video sales letter that would be worth presenting. But for $20, it's worth it to me to pay a professional that has everything set up, that's used to doing that kind of work, and I get it done without having to spend all the time it would take me to even attempt to come out with something that's maybe half as good as what he can do. So don't overlook Fiverr. It used to be, when you went to Fiverr, there wasn't very much over there that was very quality, but now there is, especially since now that Fiverr is allowing their vendors to have upsells now to offer, a little bit more professional, a little bit more extra work. You see a lot of quality vendors over there now that have really good professional services that weren't there before in years past. You want to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Now, this is where, like I was talking about with the graphic arts, you want to realize, there are just some parts of your business that you're never going to be able to perform in a timely and efficient manner, and maybe in a professional manner, and that you just need to realize that these are the points that you need to just hand off these type of things to someone else to complete them for you. Now, everybody, when they first start out, they don't have much money to invest. Well, I won't say everybody. Some people have money to invest and they're willing to throw money at anything. But most of us, when we first start out, we want to try to do as much of it as we possibly can. And we run into finding out, that, hey, we're really good at doing this part of the project, but then when it comes to this part, we're really not that good at it, and it's taken us a lot longer, and that our end result when we get done is not really producing what we thought it would be, and it's not really turning out like we thought it would. So, you want to recognize, as you're working on projects that, there's just going to be parts of the project that you're really good at, things that you can do. Then there's going to be some of it that, you're just not as good as someone else, and that you really should be thinking about, outsourcing that to someone else that complete it faster and more professional than what you were expecting to see. Another thing you can do is, and this is especially if you're working in a niche where there's a really good forum or a Facebook group where other people that are involved in that same niche are in the process of creating products, is trade out tasks that you struggle with other people that are struggling with a different part of the same type of projects. I've done this myself. I've handed off autoresponder emails off to someone else. In return, I would do, a squeeze page or something for them, or maybe create some sort of a lead magnet. You'll find, once you find places where you have other people that are working in the same niche, that there are people that, that are trying to do as much of it as they can, but there's parts of it that they realize that they're weak at, and they're willing to trade out that work to someone else for somebody else that can do that. And it works out to the benefit of both of you. And in a lot of cases, and this has happened to me several times, you wind up striking up a good joint venture with someone, in that once both your projects are completed, you have another product that you can promote for it as an affiliate commission, and then you have someone else that's willing to promote your product to get the affiliate commissions. So it can work out not only in the means of getting your project completed and more professional the way you thought it would turn out, but also getting some good extra targeted traffic out of it by both of you promoting each other's products in the end. And this is one that I tell everybody that, especially if you're working with resale rights and PLR, use copy and paste and edit as much as possible. You want to try to be, as unique as you can about a resale rights or a master resale rights or a PLR rights product, but you want to use the inspiration that you're given to work with. So you can take, a sales letter, for example, from a PLR product and just copy paragraphs of it out into where you're working on your version of the sales letter. And if you do it just one paragraph at a time, it's real easy to see how you could rewrite and reword that paragraph. Graphics is another thing, especially if you're given Photoshop files to work with or blank images that you can edit. That's a really great place to start, is taking that, the material that you're given and using it for ideas of how to make your version of it unique. So, that works really well. It's just to copy and paste what you're working with. And also this falls back into doing, swipe files. When you're out looking at other products that people are selling, make swipe files of things that caught your attention. I'm not saying, copy and use what you see on other people's pages, but use them as inspiration and ideas by having, a swipe file, which a swipe file is just a collection of things that you've copied from other people that you can use for ideas from in creating something of your own. But that works really well for getting over through some of the technical hurdles, especially in creating sales pages and opt-in pages. Those are the two things people struggle with the most in creation, is coming up with their own unique sales page and opt-in pages. By having to create something starting from fresh, it's really hard to get started with it. So if you have something that you can work with, that you can just copy and paste and just edit it to make it unique, that saves a ton of time. So, use that as much as you possibly can. Okay, now dealing with the negativity from your family and friends and your coworkers. This is, like I said, when you're first starting out, a lot of times your family and your friends will say, I don't see why you're wasting your time with this. You're never going to do anything with it. You're never going to see anything come out of it. You should be doing something else, putting in extra hours at Walmart or whatever it might be, instead of fooling with this. And, this can be a great momentum breaker, to always have negativity coming from, the people that that you hang out with and you love, and always having them putting down everything that you're working on. Well, one of the things you can do to help alleviate some of this is try to work in times when, they aren't compromised by what you're working on. Now, this gets really hard to manage sometimes, in that, you may have projects you need to work on that are maybe on some sort of a time schedule. But if you can, try to work out times where it doesn't compromise the time that you have allotted for things that your family or friends or coworkers were wanting you to do with them as well. It may be that you need to get up an hour or two earlier every day, or stay up later an extra hour or two to work on things. Whatever it might be, try to find, some sort of way of negotiating and managing your time, so that you aren't, compromising things that you were doing before you started working on your projects. Another thing you can do is do small projects that you get results, so that you can show them the results that you are, making some sort of positive steps as to what you're working on. This is again falls back into working on smaller projects, so you can see, results for yourself to gain your own motivation and momentum. But it also works to help alleviate some of the negativity that you have from your family and friends, if you can show them something that you've been working on, that you've completed, and that you've gotten results from it. I remember the first time I showed my wife an eBay listing that I made. That was back when I was selling long distance cards over on eBay. I showed her the results that I got from making that listing, and she was willing to help me do those listings there for a while and help ship out those products, because she's seen that there was results from selling that product. Even though she didn't understand how the process worked, she's seen that, that the process actually did work, that you could make money from eBay with those cards. So, that was a great little momentum builder. Just by have her seeing some results from it, she was willing to help me work it and get the packages ready to go out. So, look for little small projects that you can do like that you can show some results. And a lot of times, even if you're not getting results, if you can show something that you've worked on that looks really nice, that looks appealing, that can be a good motivation to relieve some of the negativity. But they see something that you've created that they can't create themselves, and that they can see that you are getting better at it and you are making some progress with it, even if you may not be getting instant results. They see something that you're working on that's actually something that they can see that is has potential to work. Once you have a few things that have worked for you, that you've done, that you've completed, you can show proof that you have skills. Now, I talked about that just a little bit there just a second ago, being able to show off something that you've completed that shows the skill set that you've learned, and that you have worked on something, that you know how to complete something, that you can repeat that process again. So that it shows a skill set that you have that they know that you didn't have before, that will help alleviate some of the negativity as well, by them seeing that you are progressing and that you are able to show some proof that you've been working on things, and that it looks like something that has potential in some fashion. The next thing you can do is, if after you're seeing a little bit of results, if you can show any kind of social proof that you get. Facebook is one of the biggest things in just about every family now. So if you have any kind of social proof that you can share with your family and friends, that will show them, that other people are respecting what you're doing and are interested in what you're doing. That it's not just you and them that are looking at it; that it's the rest of the world as well. And like I said, Facebook is pretty much predominant in just about every family's life now. The very few families don't have a Facebook profile. Almost every family member has their own Facebook profile these days. It used to be, one individual family, one person from the family had the Facebook profile and they posted everything, but now almost every member of the family has their own Facebook profile. So you can share social proof that you get from any of those with your family and friends, and that's another great motivation factor for some of the negativity that you get, that they will see that others are interested in what you're doing as well. It's not just you and it's not just them. And again, you can show them that your work is helping to contribute, and this actually comes from the point where you're actually making a little bit of income from the work that you're working on, by having a little bit of extra income that's bringing in towards the family that they didn't have before, that you could spend on other things. It may be something as simple as buying birthday presents or Christmas presents or something like that, or buying you know a Starbucks coffee a couple times a week, or something even little small things like that, where they see that the income that you spent to get whatever that little thing is actually came from a project that you were working on in your spare time online. That is another great negativity breaker, is when you can actually prove what you're doing is bringing in an income, because they can see a tangible asset come from that work, instead of it always being something digital on a computer screen. They can actually see something tangible come from it. I remember the first time that I bought Christmas presents from my online income. That was a great motivator in having to be able to do that, in that it was actually physical products coming from Amazon that I bought with money that I got from an online income. So that was another great way of showing that the work that you're working on can actually contribute to the family income, or whatever it might be. Now, it may get to the point where you're actually bringing in quite a bit of income, and maybe at some point you can actually, do the quit your 9 to 5 job, and rely strictly on the online income that you're making. That's going to be a huge motivator when you can get to that point, not only for yourself but for your family and your friends, and that they're going to be cheering you on at that point, if you get to the point where you can actually show that you can switch over from your daily 9 to 5 to something that's online that you work on from home. That's going to be a huge motivator. But of course, that takes time for that to happen. It's not something that happens to people overnight, instantly, and it's extremely rare when it does happen. I mean, it does happen occasionally, just like there's a new rock band that comes out with a hit single, and then they've got an instant hit single. That same thing happens internet marketing and online marketing as well, but it's extremely rare for it to happen. Most of the time, you have to build up to it and finally get to the point where, to where what you're working on, each project, is a success in its own. But being able to show that the work that you're doing is bringing in some income, even if it's just small, you're just buying, like I said, little small Christmas presents or birthday presents or something like that, or going out to eat, going to see a movie or whatever, paying for date night once in a while. That's really great motivators in the, to be able to show that the work that you're putting in on your online business is actually paying off in some way. World says one of the things I did in the beginning was to publish a book in CreateSpace. Not many, but a few of them started to look at me and a successful published author. That's a great thing that you brought up there, Roy. I experienced almost the same thing several years back. It wasn't my first CreateSpace book, but it was one of them. I think it's like my third or fourth one. I went to a family reunion, and I don't know how the topic came up, but one of my brothers or somebody brought up the topic that I had published a book that was available for sale on Amazon. And it just so happened that I had they send you a sample copy before they actually publish it on their website. It just so happens I had that sample copy with me out in the car with us at that family reunion. And I brought that book in and showed it to them because they asked, about it, and I brought it in and showed it to them. And you just wouldn't believe the reaction that I got from my family when they seen a book, a physical book that had my name on it, my picture in it, and it was a full 150, 200 page book, and that was a huge motivator in that people could see something physical, tangible out of what I've been working on, in that they see that it's for sale on a big marketplace like Amazon. Even if at that point it was still in the approval process, but just by having that book, it was really a great negativity breaker with my family in that they could see something physical that I'd been working on. Now, if you're in the offline marketing world, if you're trying to sell services and products to businesses, having something physical like that is a huge reputation builder. I've got a couple of little small CreateSpace books that are based around online marketing, that when I go to one of these small network meetings, I take a couple copies of that book with me and give them out. That is a huge reputation builder to be able to do that. So that's a great thing that you brought up, everyone. I'm glad that you brought that up because I'd almost forgotten about that, that you could actually do something so simple as have a CreateSpace book that you can show people something physical from what you've been working on, and plus they can go on Amazon and see it for sale there. Of course, says a physical book is an excellent business card. Yes, it is. It's really great for those network meetings that you go to. So to conclude this, and we've been talking about this for quite a while now, the biggest motivator of all, this is what will really keep your momentum going and keep you motivated, is having met your goals and being able to step back and see what you've accomplished. When you can sit back and see that you've accomplished something and that you're getting some results from it, that is one of the biggest motivators of all. But it only comes from being persistent and staying with it. And like I said, realizing what your limitations are and what your hurdles might be, and being at that point willing to hand off to someone else and get someone else to complete that part for you that's holding you up. Like I said, if it's great to start out with little small projects, little cheat sheets and little small video training sessions that you sell really cheap just so you can see a quick influx of income. It's really great to start out with those and then work on some of your bigger projects. But when you can step back and you can look at what you've accomplished, and a great example of this is the other day when Mike Lance from Warrior Plus sent out that email that they were making changes to the Warrior Forum and that some of my products were going to be deactivated because they didn't meet their new listing formats or whatever it might be. I forget how he exactly worded it. There were 96 products that I have listed over in Warrior Plus, and that 41 of them were going to be deactivated because they didn't meet the new listing procedure over there. I had never realized that I had that many products listed over on Warriors Plus. Now, I knew I had 200 or so over on JVZoo, but I didn't realize I had that many over on Warriors Plus until I got that email from Mike Lance. So that, that was a huge motivation builder for myself when I look back at that and I say, wow, I've got nearly 100 products that I've listed here, and all I did was just keep working at it each week, putting out one or two, trying to keep momentum going of having something in there on that first page constantly for sale. Out of those 41 that got deactivated, 20 some of them were actually WSOs, and I didn't realize I had that many WSOs listed over on the Warrior Forum. I knew I had quite a few there, but I didn't know how many. So, that was a huge motivator when I stepped back and I looked at that. So, wow, this is what I've been working on. This is the things that I've been doing for the past 6, 7 years that are really showing results now. The people that I talked to back in 2014 that were following the Easy Passive Sales system when that first came out, I told them, every single one, keep cranking them out. Don't worry about how many you're doing. If you're getting results, just keep putting them over there until you start seeing some results, and then keep doing it. Make it a goal to have, one or two or five listed every single week. The more feelers you have out there, the more chances you have for, making a sale. And some people stuck with that, and they had, 50, 100 products out there, and they were starting to see, good, consistent incomes coming from it. Some people put one or two or three or five and then quit because they didn't see the results that they thought they were going to see. They thought they were going to see instant results from them. So when I saw that email from Mike Lance and it showed me that I had nearly 100 products over in their marketplace, and I know I have 200 and probably a little better than 200 over on JVZoo, and then all of those that I have out there that just have individual PayPal buttons, I couldn't even count how many of those there are. That's the kind of motivation I'm talking about, is the drive to keep going even if you're not seeing the results. I've put out tons of products that didn't make sales. Now, not every product I put out has made sales. I actually can recall 2 WSOs that I listed that did not make a single sale. Now, that was, discouraging to list a WSO that didn't make a single sale. So, I quickly killed that thread, reworked the product, and relisted it as something else, and then it made sales. But just because I put something over on, at that time was a high traffic, targeted traffic place to list products, and it did make sales, that was, a huge momentum breaker, really, to have that to happen. I'd never had that happen, list something over on Word for Me, it didn't make any sales, but I didn't let that stop me. All I did was I just deactivated the thread, reworked the product a little bit, reworked the sales page a little bit, relisted it, and then it made sales. I learned from the experience instead of letting it get me down, letting it keep me from being productive. I learned from that experience and moved on from it. When I first started doing the short reports back in 2007, I've written in a 2-year time span nearly 150 of those. Not every single one of those made sales. Some of them only made 1 or 2 or 5 sales, but then some of them made 10, 20, or 100 sales. But it was a great motivation factor, that when you did see sales coming in, to keep writing and keep creating those. And the last thing I want to leave you with is, remember that even small tasks completed result in big goals achieved. We don't realize that when we do work on even little small tasks and projects, that as we continue to work on them, they build up, and they eventually become completed, achieved goals that we were setting for ourselves. Like I said, with the email I got from Mike Lance, I didn't realize how much work I'd actually done to create products over on his marketplace. If I looked at the initial goal and said I want to have 100 products listed over there, that would have been a monumentous task for me to try to achieve, a monumentous goal rather. But by doing it one at a time, when I had time to work on them and staying motivated to keep working on them, it eventually built up to that amount. So just keep in mind that when you work on things, even if it's something small, it contributes to the bigger picture that when you get done, you'll have something you can step back and look at and say, hey, look at what all I've gotten done here. And you'll learn throughout that process of what works and what doesn't work. And if you invest wisely in your time and your money, you will find, projects that you work on and products that you create and affiliate promotions that you do that are going to work better and better for you. Like he says, eat an elephant one bite at a time. Exactly. Yep, that's how you eat elephants, one bite at a time. Like I said, if another great example is these webinars that I've been doing on Monday nights. Um, there's well over 100 of them now. Well, close to 100. I think the last count was 96. So, that's a huge chunk of, webinars that I've done over the past 2 years that, if I set an initial goal is I'm going to do 100 of these webinars, it may have kept me from doing these webinars and maybe not ever reaching that goal. But by continuing to do them and adding to each one, it turned out to be a good sized number now. Uh, Sean Mice is always sending out those things about how he's got hundreds and thousands of hours of recorded trainings. You know, I have that too now. I don't have thousands of hours, but I have probably close to three to 400 hours of recorded trainings now. And, it just came one step at a time, doing them one at a time, 20, 30 minutes here. Here, this and tonight has been running a little bit over an hour. It's just taking it small steps at a time to complete a big goal is all it takes.